Andrew, you mentioned, the cars, the Bugattis, the women's, the yachts, the boats, everything that you stand for, everything that success stands for as a man.
Yeah.
You touched on this a little bit about an old woman judge. How much of basically what's happening to you is just sort of the reverberation of modern feminism attacking toxic masculinity? You're the face of quote unquote toxic masculinity, and they're like, we got him. Yeah. How much of that is going on here?
Yeah, that's what they call me. I think I'm the face of unapologetic masculinity. I'm not apologetic for anything I do. And I also think that I understand when you have a message which is complicated, and masculinity as a whole is a very complicated tapestry, that the best way to instill it and teach it is to break it down to its core beliefs. So I've evolved way beyond Lamborghinis and chicks, right? But masculinity as a whole is a very complicated tapestry. You need to have the emotionality. You need to have the times you feel like crying and you don't. You need to have the times you can be aggressive. You need to have the times that you can be violent to protect your family. It's very complicated. And you can't teach that, especially to the young generation, in spite of the constant propaganda they have coming in their ears, very easily. So I break it down to a very core message, and the core message is that I have financial freedom, so it's hard to tell me what to do, and I have sexual access because I'm respected by women, and I have a good network because I'm respected by men. I break it down to those core things, and those core things are what I build that's how you build the tapestry of masculinity, because if you don't have those three core things, you can never build the rest of it. That's the beginning of it. If you don't have those three things, it's hard to build the rest. So anybody who doesn't look into my message properly, I mean, I'm sure these people who are after me have never listened to me speak at length, ever. Ever. They just look at a picture. He's on a boat. There's 3 girls on the boat. There's no way those girls are happy with that, because my wife hates me. And there's 3 of them. So he has to go to jail. And that's what's happening. It's that baseline. I truly believe it's that baseline. But how else can I teach my message, as complicated as it is, without first breaking down and proving you have success in the most core levels of it, right? Before you learn to box, you jab and you cross. Before you do all the complicated stuff, you do the basic stuff. So a lot of it is people looking at my message, not understanding how detailed it is, not understanding how positive it is, looking at the baseline instincts which I teach and which I use to advertise my success as a whole to people to show and say, look, I clearly know what I'm talking about to a degree because I have things that you want. And you're a man, so you can't tell me you don't want them. Every man wants this. Every man wants one of these. And they take all this and they try and weaponize it and use it against me. And you're right. It's feminism as a whole that has this idea that if a man is a man unapologetically, and he doesn't apologize for being a man, that he's a bad person. Which we've discussed at length, and I've discussed a bunch of times, but it's truly the most crazy thing about all of this is when shit hits the fan, it's exactly the kind of men they hate that they want. Every single time. Every single time. You can go out to a bar in America and you can stand there and argue with a feminist and argue with her to the end of time. And if someone ran in there with a gun, she would say, hey, you go. You're the misogynist. You go protect me. The feminist guy who's on my team, I don't want him to go. I want you to go, please.
We don't want Dylan Mulvaney on the front lines.
Of course not. And it's hypocritical. And it's hypocritical, and it's done on purpose, it's purported by the Matrix, it's done to attack the baseline masculinity of men because they don't want men to be masculine, because when you're masculine, you say no to things.
Did they ever try to, and by the way, I don't see this working effectively at all, but did they at all try to come in between you and Tristan, or you and the 2 girls, or the 2 of you and them? Was there any manipulation and divisiveness going on there?
100%. They tried with the girls especially. With me and Tristan, they didn't try very hard. But with the girls, they tried to put pressure on them to say things that weren't true. And, but the girls are honest, and they told the truth. And they said, we're going to tell the truth, we're not going to lie. The girls could have got out of jail any time if they sold us out, but they didn't.
Respect to them,
Yeah,
because my concern was more there.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
But they didn't, and they knew that we were telling the truth, and obviously I love them. I've known them for a very long time, and we're all basically family. And they're like, no, we're not going to lie. We're going to sit here and tell you the truth and tell you that the boys haven't done anything, we haven't done anything.
Did these girls work for you? What was your relationship with these 2 girls?
This is what's insane. Georgiana's my personal assistant. She literally books flights and organizes my gardener. She's my PA. And the other girl, Luana, Tristan knew. I never met her before. I met her once in my life before. We're an organized criminal group. I saw her at a party once, like a year and a half ago. I was like, what are you doing here? She's like, they need 4 people for a group. You can't have an organized criminal group with 3 people.
Is that the number?
4 by law. So she got picked up.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Because they had text messages between her and Georgiana talking about a TikTok account. So that's what they call her.
Oh, these are the TikTok girls?
Yeah, TikTok, yeah. No, the 2 TikTok girls were victims. But after giving
those are 2 different.
After giving statements in our defense, they were threatened with jail. They said, well, if you're not victims, you're suspects. And you're going to go to jail. So they left her name.